Prof-It is brought to you by StopToShop.com, and they've got some of the best prices on the internet for the new emerging power set. Now's the perfect time to stock up on playable cards like Gothitelle, Pokemon Catcher, Tornadus, or even the new Pokemon Trading Card Game Online code cards. Click on the link in the description to check out the set. When you do, you'll get a 10% discount on your full order at checkout. When you're looking for cards, make the stop. It's Stop to Shop.
Hey everybody, it's JWittz here from the Pokemon Trading Card Game Show Prof-It. I am back home, so I'm doing an episode here, and I decided to try and make a scripted episode while I was driving home. Now, when I got home, there was a big news announcement, and so I'm changing my entire episode, and I'm just going to wing it. But I thought I'd read off one short paragraph from the episode that I was writing, because I think it's pretty relevant and kind of funny. This episode was going to be about all the different kinds of decisions and things that could happen that would make our tournaments a lot more competitive, make our game a lot more respected, all that good stuff. And here's one thing that I wrote. Aside from just letting us know easily when and where events are, one brutal thing right now is that we have no idea how the rating system for this year or month-by-month tournament structure will look on our main page. And events start tomorrow. I can forgive this and would be extremely excited if Pokemon is currently working hard on implementing a new system and are just running out of time, but if they end up releasing the same information on rating that we had last year, I'd be pretty disappointed that it took them so long to get this information. Well, guess what?
You're Reggie Rocket with my nonsense and my hopes Poke projects. You won't stop till you bop to the top with all the hobbits. Hip with the metagame train, the reigning top kid's at the top of his game, and you can't hit my top fist. You want the best tricks? I suggest you Prof-It. You want a mess Brit? I suggest you drop it. Once we started rolling, you know you can't stop it. Let's go and get some lessons from JWittz and Prof-It. Yeah.
So, with everything changing and us having an entirely new system for rating our points and determining who qualifies for Worlds, I thought I'd talk about that instead of that other episode that I wrote on the ride down. Now, I will touch on this maybe next week, maybe sometime in the future, but it's very exciting that I was kind of frustrated about us not getting any information, and now that we finally have, I'm extremely happy. And here's why. This year, we're changing the way that our rating system works. Now, in every year before, we've worked on a system that's very heavily based on ELO, which is a system that was used for chess players a long time ago, and even they've modified and gone to a system that's a little bit different than that. But the way our system works is that your rating goes up for wins and down for losses. Now, things change as you win more or lose more, and your rating gets higher or lower. The greater the distance between you and your opponent, the more that's at stake. If you have a really high rating and you lose to a really low rating player, then you're going to drop a lot of points. And that lower rated player is going to get a lot of points. And the points are even, win and loss, when both players have around even rankings. Now, this system is good for a game like chess because that's a very skill-based game. Both players have the same board every single time, and it just makes sense. The better chess player is going to beat a bad chess player all the time. There isn't any kind of random donk or some kind of cheat move that one player can use over the other. Chess is a pretty limited game. It's been played for hundreds of years, and it's been pretty much boiled down to an exact science. However, in Pokemon, there's a lot of luck involved. There's things like coin flips. There's things like losing on the first turn. There's all kinds of crazy things that end up making a very highly skilled player still very readily able to lose to a low-ranked player, and that kind of thing can really mess stuff up. Now, throw in the fact that you need a specifically high ranking to make it into Worlds, and it ended up causing a lot of players to drop out. Either they'll drop before Top Cut, that way they don't have to risk losing points in Top Cut to some random deck, or they'll sit out events entirely just so that they won't lose any points. For example, I went 2-1 at Nationals this year and decided that it was time for me to drop, because if I lost another game, my rating would have been at risk, and I might not have made it to Worlds. Now, obviously, I had a great run at Worlds, and I don't regret my decision, but I was kind of upset about the system for even having that option in the first place, forcing me to drop from what's considered to be one of the most fun and competitive events around. Nationals had around 900 players. I really wanted to compete to the end, see how I do in Top Cut, but I'll never know because that's the way that the rating system used to work. Now we have a new system called Championship Points, which is very similar to Wizards of the Coast's Pro Points. Now, I know that Wizards of the Coast just released a system called Planeswalker Points, but these are not those points. Planeswalker Points awarded points for every single game that you play and every single win. And that is not what these are at all. Pro Points only rewards people who do well at events. Now, this system is entirely new, and I could understand that there's all kinds of questions, all kinds of complaints, and it's understandable. But the fact that we're changing is huge. I have seen this system not change for over 7 years, and now that we're finally getting something different, it's very cool, very interesting, and very exciting. So here's how it works. Basically, depending on the event, you get points based on your performance in Top Cut. Smaller events have less points awarded and less possible places for you to actually get points, and larger events have more points to reward, and you can get points for getting lower places. So altogether, it still works the same way that the old system used to, where you just have to perform really well, and different events have different point values, but there's a couple of different things that they've done to add a little bit more fairness when it comes to people having different event sizes and different access to events. One of the things they've done to change things is kicker points. Kicker points are awarded to an event if that event gets a certain amount of players. For example, there are kicker points where you can earn a point for both 3rd and 4th place at a Battle Road tournament if there's at least 32 players. That way, if there's more players in an event, there's awards for lower places at the event because it was harder to get that far in the event as opposed to just getting first at a very small population for Battle Roads. Now, granted, the science for these aren't perfect, but it is nice that they have acknowledged that some events are bigger than others and should have some rewards for doing well at those. The other addition is the best finish limit. Now, what the best finish limit does is it limits the amount of points that you can earn in a certain type of event by capping off your best amount of finishes. For example, for Battle Roads, both spring and fall combined, you can count up to your 8 best finishes at Battle Roads. So even if you win 11 Battle Roads and are just tearing up the entire area or something like that, your 8 wins will be counted. So what this tries to do is prevent someone from basically attending 20 Battle Roads and just winning all these tiny events and accumulating points that way. Now, the system's not perfect, and I'll get to the cons later, but it definitely does at least acknowledge that it can get unfair if people are just hoarding points from these tiny events. Now, things could be changed, but I do like that they have a cap, that way you can't just win everything. So here's the pros of the system that I've got so far. The very, very biggest one is that there is no longer any incentive to not play in a tournament or any incentive to drop from a tournament that you could have done well at. Now, I could understand somebody dropping if they realize that they can't make Top Cut, but people have been doing that before, and they're always going to do it if they're competitive enough. But if you're having fun, you should just play the tournament out because there's nothing at risk. Also, more importantly, if you're doing well, you have no reason to stop there and quit your run just because you want to qualify for Worlds later. You can keep playing it out, no risk, and I think that that is the best solution so far. Take it from me. Dropping from Nationals was something that I was not particularly happy with doing, but I had to do it in order to be the absolute safest for getting my Worlds rating. This year, none of that will happen. You have total incentive to play out your entire event, and I think that that's huge. Secondly, this just proves that Pokemon listens to us as players throughout all the forums, through all these media outlets, and stuff like that. People have been complaining about rating for a while now, and it's become an increasingly bigger complaint, and it seems like Pokemon is actively listening to the player, trying to do what they can to make sure that we get the best experience for our game, and also just making sure that we're happy players. This is a really, really big thing. This system hasn't changed for a long time, and showing that we've got some new progression and they're trying a new system is a really big deal. Now, the system's not going to be perfect, and they've admitted this, but it means that we can pave the way for a better system year after year to eventually get our game the best as it can be. This is a trial season, things aren't going to be perfect, but they are going to be awesome in that you can play out events and not have any problems with that. However, if things ever are wrong, Pokemon has now proved to us that they listen to our complaints, they listen to what everybody's saying, and they're going to do their best to provide the best changes to the system that the players are all requesting. Personally, I think it's just going to show that our game can keep on getting bigger and better. If they listen to the players, things will get better for the players, and it'll be a much more enjoyable and exciting game for the future. Now, that being said, there are a few cons to the system, and while it is kind of early to start complaining, it's definitely good to raise awareness for things that might be imbalanced now so that we can get changes as soon as possible, whether that be this season or next season. A big one that everybody's bringing up is that the point system does seem to be a little out of balance. And by balance I mean the weight of different events is a little strange. For example, if I win 2 city championships, that's the equivalent of getting second at nationals. Now I know that there are kicker points and things like that to avoid different sizes of events, but here's the fact. Nationals for the United States has 900 to 1,000 players. Getting second place at that is ridiculous. City championships can be as small as 8 people, I think, and I could still be awarded those points for getting first place. Now granted, you're capped to 5 cities total, but if I win 5 very small city championships, I'm already earning a lot more points than I could get for winning nationals. A 900 to 1,000 player nationals. Now, I do think that they're going to evaluate this and change the values again, and obviously the season's not set in stone. We're at Battle Roads right now. They've got plenty of time to evaluate our complaints and comments and change the weight for some of these other tournaments, and I really recommend that they do, because things like this are a little bit out of balance. Now, you can go to the website down below to understand everything about ratings so far, and how that's been working. One thing that I recommend they should do, and I saw that people have been bringing up on the internet, is that they should weight the events equally to how they've been weighted in the past, by K-value. Now, the K-value was how they determined how many points were at stake for your wins and losses for each event. Battle Roads were at a K-value of 4, Cities at 16, States at 32, Regionals also at 32, and Nationals also at 32. However, if you look at the different amount of points that you can win for each event, things are a little bit messed up. Now, the K-value of Battle Roads is 4, and for States is 32. Therefore, for Battle Roads, you need to win 8 times as many Battle Roads for that to count the same as a single States. However, winning 1 Battle Roads gives you 2 points, and winning 1 States gives you 10 points. So basically, it's only worth 5 times the amount of a Battle Roads instead of 8, which should be based on its K-value. Now, when points get imbalanced, it makes it a lot more rewarding to go to a lot of small events instead of doing well at these big events, or at least about the same reward. I think that you should be earning a lot more points for doing well at big events because they're a lot harder to win at. That being said, Battle Roads has always been seen as a very small, entry-level event, a good place to play fun decks, and just learn how competitive Pokemon goes. However, with all these players scrambling to get their top 8 first place finishes at Battle Roads so that they can get all the championship points that they want, it could make these events a little too competitive for all these newer players trying to get into the game and just learn how competitive play works. Overall, I can totally understand the complaints, and while I do think that the pros outweigh the cons right now, I also have faith in Pokemon for listening to us as players, understanding that we think the bigger events should be worth a couple more points, which should help balance out the season, and if that happens, then this could be one of the best competitive seasons of Pokemon that we've ever had. There are also 3 other interesting points of information that I've learned so far from Pokemon's releases, and here's what we've got. The first is that they're including play points now in every event. Now, this could be extremely confusing now that we've got 2 different kinds of points. It's like Wizards of the Coast, and they're 2 different kinds of points, but here's how it works. Play points are just points awarded to your account, and with enough play points, you'll get player rewards. It's like things have always been in the past. The one thing that I like about play points, though, is that you get more points for bigger events. In the past, you just got 1 point based on any event that you went to or any league season that you went to. So even if you went to Nationals, that just gave you 1 point toward your league totals and everything like that for all your rewards that you'd get over the season. Now this year, I've only seen a few of the different play points totals, but so far it's like Battle Roads is worth 1 point, and a regional is worth 5 points. So basically it just means you'll get better player rewards for going to bigger events. I like it. It's a small change, but it's a good one, and you can't complain about that. Another interesting thing is that looking at regionals and looking at the prize support so far, one big thing is missing from first and second place. There aren't any scholarship rewards. Now, this is something that is getting a couple of people uncomfortable, and while I'm not saying that people just play Pokemon for the money, winning a regional 2 years ago was extremely helpful to me. That money was great, it helped me reinvest into the game, it helped me with school, and things like that. I really think that big events should have some money on the line for you to win, because ultimately, it does cost a lot of money to travel to all these events. Now, there's been a lot of different kinds of theories. Some people think that scholarships might be rewarded at the end of the year based on everybody's championship point totals. Maybe that's true. As Pokemon have said, there's going to be a lot of releases that are going to explain all this in the future, but so far we do know that there will not be scholarship prizes for regionals. And that leads me into the third point, which kind of adds that same question that I just asked. There's going to be points awarded for Worlds. Now, does this mean that championship points will carry over each year like it does in Magic, and the top point earners can continually get their invites each year? Or does it simply just mean that the total points for everyone at the end of the year will be added together and the top players will each get scholarships that way? Either way, it's definitely interesting. It's a lot of questions that we haven't had answers to yet, but I'll provide them as soon as we're answered from Pokemon. Altogether, I just think that this is a good time for Pokemon. Yes, our announcements is late, and yes, the program might be a little bit flawed, but it also shows that they're actively listening to us as players, and they're also just doing the best that they can to make sure that we have the fairest and best season of Pokemon. Personally, I'm very excited. I hope you guys are too, and I'll do my best to answer your questions as far as the current system, and let you guys know all the new stuff that they announce over the coming weeks. Until then, I got a Battle Roads tomorrow, so I'll probably be talking about that next week. Hope you guys have a great season of Battle Roads, and I'll see you later. Peace!
You want the best tricks? I suggest you Prof-It. You want a mess spread? I suggest you drop it. Once we started rolling, you know you can't stop it. Let's go and get some lessons from JWittz and Prof-It. Yeah!